As you can clearly see, thanks to your lovely support for the first 2 episodes, we got a budget boost for the 3rd episode. That's our chopper coming right now to pick us up back to the hotel because it's so hot out here, and our producer would really love it to treat us to a chopper ride. That's my chopper! Go! I thought we were going to Penang. Why'd you bring us here?
It's Penang.
This is Penang.
You said like this is gonna offend a lot of Penangi. Here is somewhere between Butterworth and Bukit Mentajam and a place called Frog Hill.
Okay.
It's Penang. Just not the Penang Island, it's Penang.
I mean, it's a bit hard to brain it because you kind of brought us off-roading again.
It's an accident, but it's worth, right? You see?
Okay, it's not bad, it's not bad. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
It's just not the Penang Island I was expecting.
Let's go up there. We get a better view.
You want to climb that?
Yep.
Are you sure you can?
Come.
Welcome to Mission Instagrammable, the series where 2 clueless dudes with cameras show you how to stay on top of your Instagram photography game at the most Insta-worthy spots in Malaysia.
You know, for a moment, I thought Jace was gonna Spider-Man up the face of that cliff. Turns out there's a nice path going upwards here, so that's not too bad. But you know what else is not too bad? Watching hours of B-roll of me and Jace hiking. By the way, our narrator is taking a week off, which means nobody roasting us off screen. Ain't that right, Jace?
Yeah, I'm here too.
I was joking about the hours of B-roll, by the way. Cue drone shots! And oh yeah, I'm supposed to tell you about this place. You see, Frog Hill used to be a quarry for tin mining. It's now abandoned, and all that red soil you see, that's laterite. Makes quite an epic landscape, and also some pretty epic stains on Jace's fancy white car. You know, I'm actually quite relieved that Frog Hill is not literally covered in frogs.
Although it's called Bukit Kata, but we haven't seen any kata just yet.
Not a single one. Good or bad thing, depending on whether or not you like frogs.
Welcome to Mission Instagrammable episode 3.
My name is Z.
And I'm Jace.
Hopefully you remember our names by now.
You should, right?
But anyway, here we are on the very peak of Frog Hill. It's a hill, so it's not that high up.
But the suggestion say you better come before the suns go down, which means evening. But we come in the early morning.
That's very not now.
So it's really burning.
I'm literally about to burst into flames. Thank you so much for asking.
Burning hot. Come, can you help me on that? Whoa.
Nice jacket.
And the
In this
article
weather.
say the best view you could get here is to try to get high.
Which is, we're about as high as you can get by foot.
I think our drone get much more higher.
Okay,
we should have the
much more
best
high.
view.
Yeah, but I promise you, the view is a lot different up here than it is down there. So definitely get up high.
Just stop.
Oh,
You climb all the way
you
up
come
here.
here.
I just want to see you guys talking about the place, and you guys bring the camera for what? Here.
We brought it for hiking purposes.
Okay, all right. As we promised many times, we're gonna talk about exposure.
Oh yeah, we were.
Yeah, where's the shutter, aperture, and ISO? Yes.
The 3 key elements that control how much light your camera captures.
Yep. So, before that, Alice.
Oh, Alice, you remember her from Cameron.
Yeah.
We really intended her to have a bit more pictures. She was kind of complaining about not getting enough shots off.
Yeah, you
but
complain.
then, you know, Cameron kind of went down with a lot of
multiple
unexpected
times.
things.
So let's get shoot now.
Let's make up for Cameron.
Come. Let's get shoot now.
We're done, and there's a chopper out to get us.
Definitely not for us.
I really wanted it to be our producer calling us a chopper for surprising us, you know, for the 3 episodes that we've put in so much work for.
You dream too much. I saw it. It's from Bomber. They are doing training. They are doing practicing.
Oh no.
On rescue mission.
Not our chopper then.
So we have to rush to the Penang Island. Yeah, come.
Much easier with a chopper, that.
Now you don't have the budget.
On our way out from Frog Hill, look what we passed by. What a beautiful paddy field. Even though Penang's not exactly famous for their paddy plantations.
Yeah, I think for paddy session, we will have a better stage to go.
Oh,
So
better for
yeah,
this.
future episode, guys.
But here's one anyway.
So let's get a good shot of our cameraman Sam. Why not? You look at him. Ah, he looks good. Yeah.
We're now heading up to Penang Island, finally. And
Yep.
we're going up through the first bridge that was built, not the new one that was in 2014. We're going up the OG bridge.
Yeah, and it's a pretty long one. If I do not remember wrongly, during my childhood, it's 13.5 kilometers.
Oh, that's pretty long.
Yeah.
And that was back in 1980s.
Yes. It's actually opened in 1985 to be exact. They even widened the bridge in 2008, so the entire bridge becomes 6 lane wide. 3 lane in, 3 lane out. It's magnificent.
And here's the bridge. We're driving on it right now. The whole 13.5 kilometer bridge. Pretty awesome, because you get a pretty dope view of the strait as well. What's it like driving over the ocean?
Oh, I've been driving this for my whole life, many times, so...
No pressure, he's a regular. And right up ahead, that right there is the island. And I think there's some familiar faces waiting for us inside.
Yep.
Our friends are going to be meeting us at a rather iconic spot in Penang.
High point.
Yeah, it's called Penang Hill, so there's actually a pretty tall hill in Penang Island. You wouldn't
Yes.
think there's usually mountains and islands, but apparently Penang does.
Yeah, we're not local here, so we don't know much about Penang, but they do. They are the local. You're gonna see some familiar faces.
Yeah, they're gonna show us around, and it's really nice to see some familiar faces after such a long journey.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry we're late.
Hey, Georgetown.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Georgetown.
Do you miss us?
No, because you stole my car last time.
Anyway,
Skip that. Anyway, yep, the last episode you see Ken. This episode you see Ken with girlfriend. Ken, yeah, Jennifer. Ken is not a local here, but
Jennifer is.
yes, Jennifer is. So,
Lang.
you're gonna show us?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome.
Yeah, catch up the sun. Come. Let's go.
Ooh, check out the hill.
What? Don't film something like this. There's no meaning. Come on. Film the real thing.
You gotta know what's ahead.
It's nice. Someone painted the...
I always get really excited before boarding rides, and this ride looks pretty dope. And guess who couldn't stop talking the moment the train started moving?
The whole system with electrical systems here to vision and everything, the blue and white. The speed you're experiencing now is actually considered fast. Back then, that is actually slow. Imagine the days when this and this.
Oh, there's a train passing us
Oh,
that side.
people actually stay here in this and they can get off at certain stations along the way. Pretty cool.
In all fairness, this funicular train system does have some cool things about it worth talking about. The system has been upgraded twice since its opening in 1923. The biggest change was the 2010 overhaul, before which passengers had to get off at an interchange station to switch to a second train to continue the journey. It's now a non-stop journey that passes through the world's steepest tunnel as well. The more you know. So we just got off the train, and here you can see exactly how steep it was. if a mountain ever had an elevator, this would probably be the closest thing.
So that's the motor that's pulling the train. Look at how big that flywheel is, the yellow one.
So in today's episode, we're covering exposure, which is one of the very basic topics of photography.
Yes.
So if you are a professional photographer, I'm absolutely sure this is all
A
the
norm
news
for
to
you.
you.
Yeah, I mean, it's your tool, it's your everyday dealing
It's
with.
in your
yeah.
sense.
Yes, exactly.
But if you might be a bit new to photography, then we won't go extra in-depth to do a masterclass of what shutter, aperture, and ISO is, but I'm pretty sure at the end of this episode, we're gonna at least get the basics down.
Can we go play first?
Yeah, let's enjoy this
Come on.
place.
Jen!
Penang Hill, also named as Bukit Bendera, a hill station 833 meters above sea level. And although there's a trend to get up, there's also the option to hike all the way up there if you are up for the challenge.
There's three things that control the exposure of your image. There's shutter speed, aperture value, and also your ISO. Actually, if you're shooting in auto mode, the camera takes care of all that for you. So why would you possibly want to ditch auto mode and have to dial in 3 extra variables yourself? Well, the best analogy I can possibly think of for that is driving an automatic transmission car versus a stick shift. Automatic transmission still gets you there, however, probably not exactly 100% the way you want it to. If you want it to do exactly the way you want it to, then you're gonna have to tell the machine exactly what you want. In this case, it's your exposure values.
We just found something interesting. A guard house. Seems he has some story about it. Let's go.
And because he said that on camera, now I have to look up the building. Well, this is the Bel Retiro bungalow. The actual bungalow itself is actually out of bounds for public because it is government property. It was built for the British governor of Penang back in the days, but visitors are however allowed into the rather gorgeous gatehouse, which is a very nice place for photos indeed. So let's kick off by explaining what this little number here is. That there is your shutter speed. It's actually measured in seconds, or more like fractions of a second, because taking a picture happens so quickly. In fact, I should probably tell you a bit about how a picture is taken. Your camera has a sensor, but it also has what we call shutter curtains, and it's this really intricate machinery that's being operated by electromagnets. So what happens every time you click down a shutter button and it makes that slapping noise, a shutter curtain actually drops and covers
You sure they
the
can understand this
sensor.
thing? Okay, let me
It's
put
pretty
it to
simple English.
the simple, you know. This is shutter. Can you see that? Yeah, imagine a door open, let the light comes in. Yeah, that's the shutter. And the faster the shutter is, your object freeze. The slower the shutter is, your object blur. That's it, okay?
That's kind of oversimplified, but I guess we'll explain a bit more when we get back.
Yes, we're back.
That was actually a bit extremely oversimplified.
But I guess they can understand. Here is more choosy.
But at least now we're back, we can talk about it in less simplified terms.
Good coffee you make.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, shutter speed. 2 things you need to know. 1, it controls your brightness, but it also controls how motion shows up in your image. Now, in terms of brightness, among the 3 exposure settings, it's actually the exposure setting that will affect your image the least when
Yes.
you use it to affect your brightness.
Only affect your motions.
Yeah, motion, obviously there's things moving around in your frame. So for example, I took a picture of some flags fluttering in the wind. So this was taken at a 1/400th of a second shutter speed. So it's actually really sharp. You can't see any blurring going on, even though it was fluttering quite a bit. This one here was taken at 1/15, and you can see there's quite a lot of blurriness going on.
Yeah, they also how good you are holding your camera. Your
Oh,
hand can
yes.
affect too.
The camera's moving as well. That's motion as well.
You need to have a steady hand if you were to go for low shutter speed.
What is aperture? Basically, a diaphragm in the lens that controls how much light passes through the lens, reaching the sensor before the shutter. Put it in a simple phrase. Just like the cat eyes in the night time, they open big and large, allow more light to come in, and in the daytime, they close down and it's small. What about those 1.4, f2, f2.8? I leave it to J and Z in the Airbnb.
Jay says he should leave it to Jays and Z back in the studio.
Oh, okay, come. Let's try it.
Okay, very well. What those f1.4, f2. Those f numbers are, it's actually a constant you get when you divide the focal length by the physical aperture opening, the diameter of the lens, and you end up with what is essentially your f number. It's a constant.
That is a bit too much to take in, right, guys? So, to put it in a simple phrase is...
The bigger your f number is, the smaller the lens opening is.
Yes.
And the smaller your f number is, the bigger the lens opening. That's really all there is to it. So something like f1.2 is really big, and something like f22 is really small.
Exactly. So, and two results you're gonna get is either a bokeh, you know, the blurry background, or you want the maximum depth, a clear background, f8.8, f16, f11, yeah.
We gave Kern a camera in Penang Hill, and here's the footage we found on the cards.
Cool tree. We are in Bukit Bidir. Explorer. Foot shots. Looking cool. Yeah. Cool shots of a dog. Follow the epic dog.
So, the last thing, what is ISO?
ISO.
But by the way, what's ISO mean?
Okay, ISO doesn't actually stand for anything, but typically when we say ISO in general, we're referring to the International Organization for Standardizations, which actually is iOS, it's not ISO. ISO itself actually originates from the Greek word isos, which means equal. So technically you're not supposed to break out the word ISO, you're supposed to pronounce it as ISO.
ISO.
Long story short,
right.
it's a standardized way of establishing how sensitive camera sensors are to light.
Okay, put it in another layman term. The highest ISO you set it to,
Yep.
more light coming in, but the
Brighter.
downside, you get more noise, dirty bit on your photo. The lowest ISO you set, less light and more clean image.
It's like jacking up the volume on your car radio. Spent the sunset at Penang Hill. Not too dramatic of a sunset, but at least now you can see a night view cityscape of Penang Island. You can actually see a bit of the mainland and the two bridges. Pretty cool.
Yep, and about this Bukit Bendera Penang Hill experience, I would say the cable train, the cable car thing worth something.
Right up is pretty
it's
cool.
Only 12
Something.
ringgit.
Yep,
And when you come out here, you get this I'm sorry.
right
You
in
get
the face.
this overview of Penang Islands is pretty cool and everything worth every penny. But the experience,
The hilltop activities,
Yes.
so to say.
is a big no-no.
I wouldn't say it's exactly limited, but it's kind of cliche. It's nothing too spectacular, so to say. So if you want to come up here, just come up for the sights.
Will do. And you can take the cable car down
Yeah,
again.
you get to ride it again.
We got to do now. Yeah.
We're gonna rest up for the night, and I guess we'll catch you guys tomorrow morning in Georgetown. Since they've gone to bed, we have until tomorrow morning before they wake up in Georgetown to explain to these lovely people watching how do we use those 3 exposure concepts together.
We have 8 hours to talk about this. Guys, you ready?
I don't think they'll stay up all night watching us for 8 hours, though, so we gotta move this along.
Okay.
All right, so we've explained individually what is shutter speed, what is aperture, and what is ISO, but how do these 3 come together?
That's the easy way. In your camera, there's a mode called P, right? Program.
or there's a green square
Yeah,
with an A in the middle and a plus on the edge of it.
These two modes gonna settle all for you.
They'll take care of all your worries. No need to worry about what
Yes.
all these are. It's called auto mode program.
You lazy.
That's kind of cheating though. Okay. If your mode dial is say stuck in M mode and you can't get it out for the love of anything, what would you do?
Okay.
We did go on for almost 8 hours trying to explain this, so to save you 8 hours, what we basically said was, each of the exposure settings will affect your image in a different way. Shutter affects motion, aperture affects how much is in focus, and ISO affects image noise. So depending on what you're shooting, dial in the value that matters most to your shot, like using a fast shutter speed to capture a moving subject clearly, and bumping up your ISO to compensate if that fast shutter speed is making your image dark.
After waking up, first thing in the morning, photoshoot in Georgetown before breakfast because you don't want to shoot in traffic. You will notice a lot of colonial European architecture in this beautiful town. That's because this was the first British settlement in Southeast Asia. In fact, part of the city center is even a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Good morning from Georgetown. So we've done quite a fair bit of shooting early in the morning. In fact, that's probably the best time to shoot before traffic gets a bit heavy. And since traffic got a little bit heavy, look what we're having. Brekkie!
And this is some little hidden gem recommended by the Kun
and Jen, yeah.
Kun and Jen, yeah.
I don't think without locals you probably won't stumble upon this place.
But we are not a foodie show, so
We're gonna enjoy this ourselves.
yeah, you gotta figure out yourself where it is, right?
So what's next?
We're gonna shoot more in Georgetown.
With a bit more traffic.
Just a fraction of Georgetown. We're
And a
gonna
bit more
explore
sun.
Yeah.
About setting your exposure, there will still be times even for professionals when you're still not quite sure what to dial in for your exposure. Well, in that case, you can of course set it back to auto mode, but you can also do something called exposure bracketing, and it's usually a feature that's built into most of modern digital cameras. So what exposure bracketing is you let the camera take a series of photos, one photo that's normally exposed in the middle, where you dialed it in, and it will take one that's overexposed and another one that's underexposed. So then you have a range of photos with a few different exposures of the same subject so that you can fix it in post, essentially. Well, that's a crappy photo.
What are you doing?
Taking a crappy photo.
Got it, done.
Nice.
Seriously, got it. Instagrammable. I bet you get that a lot when Z taking photos. Keep mentioning stop. You better tell the audience what you are talking about?
The stops we keep talking about. It's not exactly the stop sign kind of stop, even though it is spelt that way. It's basically a way to measure how bright something is. It's a measurement of brightness, so to say. So when we say a stop brighter, it means we're doubling the amount of light, twice as bright. And when we say one stop darker, it's half as bright.
I give you an example. ISO, right? 100 to 200 is a stop, which means you double the number. When 200 to 400, you double the number again, increase one more stop again.
Yeah, it's actually really simple. It might sound kind of complicated, but it's actually pretty easy to understand. I'm pretty sure if we missed anything out, those two fellas will probably fill you guys in. They seem to know what they're talking about. We seem to know what we're talking about, huh?
You think you are the only one with coffee?
Oh yeah, we have coffee too.
You got to drink at the streets.
Yeah, we have air conditioning.
Stop, right? Stop.
It's really not that complicated.
Yep. This one. Ah, how convenient.
Oh,
We have a lens, a vintage lens that can explain stop.
oh, this is perfect. So you see all these numbers side by side. Conveniently on this particular lens, every number you see beside it is either one stop darker or one stop brighter relative to it. So that applies to the shutter speed and also the aperture value as well. When you turn it one click, you're changing it by one stop. However, on some of our digital cameras nowadays, it's a bit different. Typically, when you turn it one click, it is 1/3 of a stop. So you get a finer adjustment. So 3 clicks is one full stop.
Yeah, it's very much depend on what camera you are using, because some camera, if you are using a beginner one, they might don't have the one of the
Third stop for ISOs.
They are usually full stop.
Yeah,
200, 400, 600.
Some cameras allow you to do it in a third stop, and some cameras you can change the setting inside your camera and it will turn into a half stop adjustment.
Yes, that is very confusing. So,
But either way, regardless of your camera, the stops will not change. One stop brighter or one stop darker is the same across the board, regardless of what camera you're using. It's actually very easy to brain for shutter speed and ISO because it's as simple as doubling or halving the value.
mathematic, guys.
Maths.
So that will be the simple one, and the other one will be a bit complicated. Will be the f-stop, which is the aperture one. So that one we don't have a math way to count.
Yeah, because it's not exactly linear.
Please remember all these numbers.
Yeah, all these numbers, you just kind of get the hang of it after you've been shooting with it for a while because you're always dealing with the same numbers.
Yeah, I bet you're gonna love all these numbers when you want to buy the lens, because the smaller.
Oh, you'll love those tiny numbers.
Yeah.
1.4, 1.2.
Yes, f0.95.
Oh, if you're that 1% who can afford that. And probably last thing to note is stops, it's actually relative. So it's never say one stop is a particular given set of settings.
Yes.
It's always one stop brighter or darker from where you are at the moment. So it's a relative unit.
Hello, I'm Jennifer. Welcome to this place. This is an old place that I grew up in Penang. So as you can see, here's around like 200 family in this flat.
Whoa, that's a lot of families.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Check this out.
Very fantastic, right?
It's a old flat in Penang.
So you were one of those families?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
That's
Although I've
amazing.
moved to KL already, but I still visit here when I come to Penang.
I see. Any fond memories of this place? It must have been...
Especially when it's Chinese New Year, because around 70% of Chinese population living here. So you can imagine all red, all firecrackers.
It must look quite amazing.
You're gonna be very happening, and with the tanglong and the decoration of Chinese
and
New
everything's
Year.
so visible. It must look pretty
Yeah.
epic. Any lion dances?
Yeah, it's an annual thing that will happen here every year.
Right here.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So we brought cameras and we brought Jen, so might as well we take some pictures of Jen at the place where she grew
Full
up
of
in.
memories.
Yeah, full of memories. Let's create more memories.
Come, let's shoot. I can't wait.
Today we're going to document Jen in her natural habitat. I first started out taking photos, I was so stressed out on how to expose my photos correctly. I was after the perfect, correct exposure.
Ah!
Do you think there's ever such thing as correct exposure?
Oh, in my opinion, exposure could be a creative decision. You see, you have high key photo, low key photo, or even HDR photo.
Oh yeah, it wasn't until quite later that I realized that you could intentionally expose your photos much brighter or darker than what would be deemed comfortable, and depending on the story you want to tell, it could actually be a better, more effective way
Yes.
of telling it.
Exactly. The best example could be the silhouette photo.
Oh yes. Your subject is like completely dark.
Yeah, this is a completely underexposed photo, but it always looks so good.
You know, I was really super surprised to find how many awesome shots you could actually get off at
Yeah.
a residential flat like this. Like, who would have thought?
And I just able to get wide angle shot only. I wish I can try all the focal length.
So many more shots we want to take.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're running out of time because
Yep.
like Penang is actually not that big of an island, but there is so much to see and do in Penang.
In this episode, I bet you already watched from Frog Hill to Penang Hill.
Penang Hill,
And then we go
Georgetown.
Georgetown, and now Georgetown.
And now we're here.
Yes.
That's only 4 locations. There's like, I don't know how many more. If we wanted to go to every location in Penang, I don't think we could cover it in the whole season if we did every
Exactly.
episode in Penang.
So the good news is you will have Penang episode 2, which is the
Yep.
next episode
Next episode, we're gonna
feature.
still be in Penang.
Yes, exactly. And now you already learned the basic thing, the exposure.
Shutter speed,
Yep.
ISO, and aperture.
So the next question to you is, I already get the exposure I want. Should I shoot RAW or JPEG?
Is there a reason to shoot RAW over JPEG or the other way around?
So remember to subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode. And if you like more videos just like this, share to a friend so that they get to know hidden gem of Penang.
Yeah, and learn some photography at the same time.
Yep, so that's it for this episode.
Thank you all
Jace.
so much for watching. He's Jace, I'm Z, and we'll catch you in the next episode of Mission Instagrammable.
Come back.
What, did we miss something?
Sorry. We drive into Penang Island. In
Yeah.
fact, there is another
The bridge.
way that you can come Penang beside taking airplane and driving. There's one more way to come in Penang. Very nice. We
But
should try out.
We're already in Penang.
I mean, we should try out.
So we come into Penang again.
Let's try out.
This sounds familiar.